went crazy.
Stop, it looks awesome. You look great.
Try to embrace the curl.
You look great. We gotta embrace our natural beauty.
People?
Hey, what's up?
Do I need my
YouTube
makeup
fans?
on? Do I do this?
Whatever you want to do, relax, rock it out. I'm going to share this really quick to Facebook, so hopefully we can get some people on there. And yeah, I think the sound looks like it's good. John said it was really loud for us the other day with Alicia, and I was like, well, it's better than not hearing us, so I'll take it.
Yeah, not only that, but like, Manuel's loud, so like,
he's so loud. It's so funny. He's the loudest person in the room. Like,
he's the loudest person in the world.
I know. I love him.
Next to Matt and Ray, like Matt and Ray make one force.
And they have very strong presences, which I love.
When Matt yells at me on the mat, though, I can hear that in my dreams later on that night. That's how loud it is.
I can hear it in my dreams. It's the best thing I've ever heard.
But when he coaches me for jiu-jitsu, it's like so calm. He's like, nice,
difference.
Okay. And then, like, when I'm training, I'm like, all right, stop it. I'm a girl, okay?
Give me a break.
Give me a break.
That was how I felt yesterday because it was like my first time rolling with girls. I have yet to roll with a female.
Oh, you've never rolled with girls?
No, there's always like, they had 2 guys there the first time, and one guy, like, he didn't know what he was doing just as much as I did, and it just like crushed my face, and I was like, I didn't care, but I was like, dude, like, you know, like, are you kidding me? So I said to John, like, don't put me with somebody that's gonna like try to hurt me.
Mark you, yeah.
I don't want that. Like, that's the last thing I want. So he's been wanting to go train with him in Brooklyn, and I'm like, I don't know those girls. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like,
why would you?
So I'm like,
you're familiar with.
Exactly. So I said, let's all train together, and we were just talking about this morning. Is that like me, you, and Frivola get a whole crew?
You got that half guard pass really nice. I was like, okay.
I know, and it was
like you put your foot in, and I was like, impressed because I still got that.
John called me this morning, and he was like, dude, how'd you feel yesterday? I'm like, my crowning moment of the whole thing was when I heard you guys all go, you went, nice, Kerry, and I heard Frivola go, oh. Yeah, I'm so proud of myself for that, because I've been like,
you're like starting to get hyped.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I love jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu's literally, it's something that like, I always said, I was like, I'll always, you know, when I'm done fighting, like I'll always, you know, I'll be there for sparring. I'll spar. Like sparring for me is just fun.
Yeah.
I'll help other people. I'll help, you know, whatever. I was like, I will always compete in jiu-jitsu.
You should.
I will always.
I think you could be any age and do it. I don't think that there's
I don't think that there's ever a limitation.
Yeah, except for, well, John was like, you're going to have a problem with your weight class because you're like, you know, 41 years old and like a child.
Yeah, but there's a lot of women in
That's what I thought.
And if anything, realistically, like you built up that strength. You can go in the, you can either do 125 or sometimes they'll drop you down into like the lower age bracket.
Either way, I don't even care. I like to test myself. I'm a big one. Like, I want to test myself and I want to know that like I can do it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was yelling at John yesterday. I'm like, dude, do a no-gi belt system. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, why not? People
I think that there like is, but I think like
Ted Planet does. And Alicia, she has a purple belt, but no gi.
Right.
So I'm like, dude,
that helps with the wrestling background.
And you could get them at Super Ranch, whatever he was saying and correcting us on.
Yeah.
What was
Supare.
I was like,
what is
you fancy ass motherfucker.
I was like, okay, first of all, you see East Coast MMA, and I remember when Zach opened his first shop.
Oh my God.
That's how long I've known Zach, like 10 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So, okay, you know, what got you into fighting? We never got to talk about that yesterday.
Oh shit, we really didn't.
No.
Okay, so it's actually very funny. Athlete growing up my whole life. And then I was in a relationship, and at the time it was with a guy. So
they could be the worst.
It was before I came out.
They could be the worst.
It's all right.
Yeah.
And we were watching it, and we were watching The Ultimate Fighter. I'll never forget. It was the season that Kimbo Slice was on. I forget who the fucking coaches were on that.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
31.
Okay, so yeah, we're 10 years difference, literally. Yeah. And when I got into it was, I think, season 1. Yeah. So that 10 years really does, but that was a great season with Kimbo Slice.
With Kimbo Slice.
That was before it got like too. Yeah.
Okay, because like people, like I can't.
Because it's sun fight, so it's you hear it, and
I hear it, and then I'm like,
yeah, it makes me so sad. I'm like, you know, there's so many shitty people walking the earth, especially right now, and it's like, you know, you're gonna take Kimbo? You're the man.
I love him.
I love him.
But that was my, that was like the first like taste. Like I watched boxing growing up with my dad, and like my dad and I used to sit down and watch boxing, and my mom used to be like, change that shit, and I said, whatever. So I was like, yo, this is actually really fucking cool. Like, I kind of want to do this. And the guy that I was with was like, yeah, okay. So I found a gym. I found like a kickboxing gym, like close to me, in like Rockville Center. And I started taking classes, and I was like, I really like this, whatever. And I started getting into it, like watching more fights and stuff like that. And then I started like with jujitsu, like shortly after. And it's funny because I actually started in jujitsu first. Then I put that on pause because I was the only female doing it. So like at the time I was young and I was like very uncomfortable rolling with men.
I can understand.
Yeah. So then I like focused primarily on my kickboxing.
That's what I did.
And like 8 months into training, I took a fight, and funny enough, part of the reason I left the guy that I was with was because he said, that's disgusting. Don't tell people that you do that. Girls don't fight. That's horrible. I was like, okay, fucker.
Yeah, wrong thing to say.
I was like, all right, fucker.
Yeah.
Whatever. So whatever, left him. Whatever. Doesn't matter who they Doesn't matter who they anymore, but like,
Yeah.
So,
Listen,
but so like at the
we
time,
all
like,
start out experimenting in one way, shape, or form. I dated a girl when I was 21, so it's not like
I dated girls. I think
everybody experiments.
I had sex with a girl before I had sex with a guy. Like I always fucking knew, but I was just like, oh,
You know what's
I got
funny
things.
because girlfriends, like guys, don't get drunk and fuck around with their guy friends.
No,
Girls do.
if they do,
And
it's
we
probably
do.
just bad.
Exactly.
Sorry, no, you're not getting the
No, you know what's crazy though? I have a friend that was telling me a couple years ago about like this whole thing in like the urban community, and they were calling them homo thugs, and they're like, that's like a whole thing apparently, is these guys that like swing both ways, but they're really hard, and you wouldn't really know.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It is, and you would never know. And I said,
Homo
well,
thugs,
I
I've
really
never heard of
it was the first time I heard of it, and I was like, and I don't want to use that term because people are going to be like, oh,
it does sound a little derogatory.
it does, and we're just
Right.
conversating, so I'm literally just, you know me.
Yeah.
But for the fans that might be like, what did you say? Yeah, no, it's literally just what I heard, and I was like, oh, well, I think you could call it something different.
Yeah, probably. Well, I know like
Strong guys that swing. I mean, like,
I know that like women of color who are very masculine and are gay, the term stud was created for women of color who are on the masculine side. So when Caucasian women and that just more masculine are calling themselves studs, it's actually it's not, it doesn't hold that same meaning as it does, and that's just from what I've like heard, research and stuff like that. That the word stud was actually meant for women of color.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That'll make you think differently about it, because
That's
you do
before
hear
you say
guys
it.
calling themselves
Yeah.
studs all the time, or calling their friend a stud.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's like the term stud was in the
maybe you might not
community
want to
was
use
meant
that
for
way.
women of
So
color.
it
who are on
isn't
the
meant to be
masculine side.
derogatory in that respect.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that their verbiage and what they say, and it's not even just what they say, it's sometimes how they say it.
Yeah.
And I am like the person that says, well, PC's gone too far, but there is something to be said for being a human person and having compassion.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like that everybody should be able to have.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be hard.
Like there's guys that I train. Like I train with a lot of guys, and I'm treated very much and told like, you're one of the guys. I'm like, absolutely. Like I check out your girlfriend when she comes in. You're like,
You should
whatever. Like I don't
you
give a
shouldn't
shit.
be treated any differently.
Right. So I'm treated like one of the guys. However, I do have, like, in terms of like, if a guy refers to another guy as like a faggot, like I
would take
hate
offense to that.
that. I actually hate that, and I will turn around and I'll be like, yeah, and I hold nothing. I'll be like,
There's certain
yeah,
things that I
I'm
will
like,
not let slide.
I'm gay, and I don't like, and I don't even like that word. Don't use that word around me.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's nice because guys, you would think
They
the guys
respect
would be stars and me, just
Don't.
be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware. Don't use that word. It's a derogatory word.
It is.
It's derogatory.
It is. And that's the sad part
It's
about
like calling
it.
me a
is
dyke.
that
I
people
also hate that word.
I don't like that word.
I hate that word.
I don't like
hate
that word because it's a stereotypical word.
And you want to know what else?
And it is.
And I don't like the word moist.
Love you
That's not the
so
word.
much. You're like my fucking favorite.
I like that fucking word. It's disgusting. My
It
friends send me like all these memes with that word, and I'm like, I'm not your fucking friend anymore. I hate you.
I was driving past somebody towing a boat, and it said wet something, and I was just like, oh, could you have picked a better name? Just the word in there was enough for me to go, oh, okay, I see exactly where you're going with this, and it's pretty fucking gross. Like,
absolutely disgusting.
So I have a problem with gross comedy in that respect.
Yeah.
More so from it coming from a guy than I do a girl. A girl, it's funny. It's like, okay, we can say that.
Yeah.
A guy,
It's almost like it's a
no.
little bit of a double standard, but on a beneficial side.
It is. We can say that. Like I can call my bitches, but
Yeah.
guys can't call my bitches.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
just not happening. Like no, we don't let that slide. And it's funny because
I call my guy friends my bitches.
Yeah, they are. Wait, there's a meme and it's like, are you gonna introduce me to your girlfriends? Like, bitch, you are my girlfriend.
Exactly.
I do. I have a handful, but like my guy friends, I consider like one of my girls. Like John does it all the time. He's like, I am in the girls' world. I'm like, you are. You are. I'm like, you were fully full on. I'm fine with it. I love it. I love having guys support.
It's so funny when I think about Manimal, and I was thinking about it yesterday when I left the studio. Mind you, yesterday I did my first podcast.
But she was so good. Still is. Like,
but I left the studio yesterday, and I'm sitting there, and now I'm thinking about I made a comment about how John is very comfortable in his sexuality,
and
like he's so trans. He don't shit.
He does.
He's like the manliest man I've ever met. And friends like, oh my god, I love this leopard
literally,
like whatever.
Like literally, like the hands and everything,
like that same
and
I'm just fucking anyway. But I was like, I feel like when his creator was making him, he got sidetracked and like put together like male half of brain and female half of brain because he forgot what he was doing. And does
that play into the bipolar too? Because like the whole polar opposite spectrums that he's and I feel like my bipolar plays into so many little things that like I'm like, wow, okay. I see that. I see like my where I stand and where I don't. And it's so funny because there's a little gray area with me.
Yeah.
And then there's a little gray area with me with people. Like people either love me or hate me. There's no in between. It's so funny. And so I like it. I think I'm a Libra. So like I crave that balance. By the way, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
I saw that. I looked up your sign yesterday. I was like, I love her vibe. She's gotta be something.
I'm a Libra.
Yeah, I'm Aquarius. We're good signs. I mean, all signs are good in their own way, except well, Gemini dudes, they're a danger zone. For me to date. Gemini dudes are just straight danger zone. They're no-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Scorpios could be a no-go zone too. Did you ever see the hot, crazy flow chart?
Yeah.
His signs are my hot, crazy flow chart. I'm like, what sign are you? Or I can usually tell relatively quickly a guy's sign. And I'm like, no. I just, no.
Yeah. No. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it depends. Like, I'm a September Libra, and I found that like September Libras and October Libras are
completely different
things. Same thing with Leos. July Leos are very different than August Leos.
They are. Completely different. August Leos to me are a little bit more like
in your face.
Yeah, and July
Leos are like more laid back.
Introverted. Yes.
Introverted and judgy.
Yes. One of my best, like she's one of my best. She's not one of my best friends, but she's like in that grouping of like best. Friends that I hang out with in groups, you know what I mean? She's just such a great-hearted person, and she's so funny, but she is that Leo. And she will say, oh, yeah, definitely. She'll say she's not. And I'm like, but you are, but we all judge a little bit. Yeah. And I've really like learned to curb that. It's taken a long time for me to curb that. And it's humbled me, playing pool, being a competitive player. Now this is gonna humble the shit out of me doing jujitsu. And I trained when I was younger more in kickboxing. Now my problem was I was a drug addict and I was an alcoholic. So instead of doing what I could have been doing, and I would have been really good at fighting had I like channeled my energy.
Yeah.
And my parents had like the misconception that I was going to be more violent and it was going to turn me into a worse person than I was already. And I was just a violent little unmedicated bipolar chick running around just trying to fight the world.
It's so funny. My parents
touching
were like,
stop signs, breaking my hands, didn't even care.
My parents were like, I don't know. After like my first 8 months, I think I was like 21. I was like 21 or 22. Probably 21. And my parents were like, I don't know, if you should fight. More my mom. And she's like, my dad's like, all right, you gonna do it? All right, go out there. My dad is always my number one supporter. They've actually never been to one of my fights, but they will come to my jiu-jitsu matches.
I'm gonna be your MMA mom and come to your fights.
It's so funny. I like adopt other people's like family members like at my fights. I have an Uncle Pete.
I have extended family members. I have extended family members that I feel like are from the fight community, and they're older, and so it's so awesome. My cousin's son in Florida, like we're gonna fly up in February, and like, oh please, I have incredible. I was gonna go to your fight too. I know, so bad. That's another thing that I want you to do. You should go do press work with me. I mean, when you're not at a fight and fighting,
Yeah.
work it.
Yeah.
You know, there's money in that there's not in fighting when you have downtime.
Oh, yeah.
Why not stay in it, but make extra money?
Get a little press pass, got to go and watch some shit. I would have loved a press pass for last night's fights.
I tried. I didn't realize it, and I was like, you know what? Sent me stuff. I was like, I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I'm like, a little nervous. I'm way past that now, but I don't want to have to quarantine it. I don't want to have to like do all that bullshit.
Yeah, you have to spend like at least a week there.
And that was my only thing. So I applied too late. Had I applied when it first came out, I would have definitely gotten like three, at least three. But I don't know if they're letting press in the venue.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go sit in a hotel.
Well, no,
I can go sit in a fucking hotel and watch a fight anywhere. You know what I mean? Like
I watched it from the comfort of my bed last night.
Yeah.
But after that first fight, the first fight on the prelims, I had to shut the fights off. I was so
Let's talk about it.
Let's those of you that
let's taco about it.
Because I am amped.
Taco Friday. Taco about it.
Let's talk about it.
Friday fights. Let's go.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, Cassia Gemma is he has become one of my really good friends. I go on a train with him up in Greenwich, Connecticut.
You work with him up there, right?
I work with him up there. You know, he introduced me to like great group of people. So he fights for Bellator. And let me tell you something. This guy was a boxer. This guy, first of all, he's got an incredible story. He's a convicted felon. He spent 5 years in a state penitentiary.
Yeah.
And
that's sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm so used to like trying to give people like I'm that
like a friendly. It's like coffee. So I'm like here. So anyway, he spent 5 years in a state penitentiary, and you look at this guy. He's covered in tattoos. He's tall. He's like
covered hands.
He's covered everything. But this guy's like the nicest guy.
Yes.
He appreciates and values team like no other.
He does.
Anyway, so he fights for Bellator. He's a boxer, and
he started out boxing.
Yeah. He's got hands for days.
Oh
and
yeah.
He kick.
He's fast.
He's fast. He's powerful.
I can see it.
And he's relentless.
I've watched almost all of his fights. I've seen a couple live.
Yeah, and he his biggest thing was like he wasn't really much of a ground guy, and like me, I'm like, you gotta do jujitsu, and he would like laugh at me. And even for this camp, I'd be like, when are you gonna do jujitsu? Like, what are you doing? Whatever.
Yeah.
So he had actually one of my teammates was going up there and doing some stuff with him.
I forget who it was, but I saw
Manny.
It. Yeah, Manny.
So last night he comes out in this first round, and they have a couple of exchanges, and next thing you know, he's shooting for a takedown. I'm like, I was like, shit, but like, what are you gonna do when you're down there, man? No,
I was so impressed.
Transitioning back to mount to going for chokes, going for everything. He murks this guy.
Oh, Manimals. He just texted. He's like, say it loud. He's excited that we're talking about the teammates and everything going on. Yeah. So anyway, murks dude 10 easily first round. Like 10 both rounds.
Both rounds.
Without question.
100%. And in the second round, it goes, and it's going the distance. Well, the last minute, he has this guy on the floor. He manages to get this guy in an armbar. And I'm talking tight.
Yeah.
Like, once he realized it wasn't going conventionally with that wrist down and thumb up, he tucked it under his armpit, and I was squeamish.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, that shit's gonna break. Well, it popped.
Twice.
After the first
you're talking ligaments, you're talking serious damage to someone's elbow, and even like there's other things that he could have twerked his shoulder that you don't realize.
Yeah.
And just
the pressure on the wrist from being under the armpit could have broken a wrist.
420%, and people don't realize that as like regular fans. And that ref should have his card pulled.
Right.
I want to be a referee. That's like that's my goal in life, and your number one job is fighter safety alone.
Oh, yeah.
That's like it.
Now, mind you, after the first round, the doctors had to check out Kaz's opponent.
Yes, they did.
And they let him continue to fight.
Now, I'm wondering, they said it was a cut?
Yeah.
I didn't see a cut.
It was like kind of close to the eye.
Okay.
I think, I'm pretty sure. But regardless.
They're going to stop the fight over that, but they're not going to stop it watching his arm pop.
Right.
And
so
the
his
ref
arm
was
pops, and
watching
I'm telling you, if you put your arm out like this, now imagine your elbow coming up the other way.
Yeah.
Twice.
Not good. Twice. 2 times in 2 different directions.
2 times in 2 different directions.
And I watched it twice, once last night, once this morning.
Like, I just looked. So Kaz gets up, goes to his corner after the fight. Doctors go and they look. The doctors were going to call this fight to begin with, but
Absolutely.
because the ref did not stop the fight after the first pop, not even after the second pop.
And he was
called
talking to
the
the
fight.
ref. Did you hear him?
Yeah. He's like,
Because
it popped, it popped, it popped. Like, what are you doing? Kaz goes, I'm not going back out there. Kaz says, I'm not willing to let this guy ruin the rest of his career.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not willing to fight this guy. His arm popped twice.
Yeah, why are you going to
see
get further
And
damage?
you hear it. He doesn't have to sit there and be, it's not one of those situations where he's choking the guy and the guy does like a half-ass tap and you're like, he tapped. It's not one of those things. You physically saw a bone almost come through the fucking skin.
Twice.
I'm sorry, twice.
2 times.
Twice.
So,
And the
my
ref
personal
should be
opinion,
ashamed and shame on that ref.
the ref, the athletic commission, and this is why I want to go into that. That's the world that I want to be in.
But wait, let's get to
they need
the
to be held accountable.
and let's get to the ultimate decision of that whole thing. They ruled it a TKO
TKO.
in favor
How
of the
the
other
fuck
guy, the guy whose
was
arm
that?
got broke because
you know
Kaz
why?
wouldn't go back
And
out.
I think that the commentary did have a lot to do with it because he was exhausted. He was first off, he was completely alert. He was talking. He looked like he was
going
lifted,
balls
but
out.
he didn't look like he
You're going
couldn't.
balls out. Of course you're gonna be breathing
But
heavy.
he
You're
didn't
gonna
look
be
like he
tired.
couldn't finish.
Kaz, okay, this is my big thing with especially with people like Kaz.
He didn't
Kaz
look
doesn't
like he
quit
couldn't
when he's
finish.
tired. He stops when he's
And
done.
now that's what you said. And that is a warrior.
Yeah,
And
that's a
and-
warrior through and through.
And it is because he didn't want to compromise somebody else's career for the rest of their life. And that
Just to
is
get a
what-
win in the column.
No, and I always say this is people get mad at refs when they call a fight too early, and I'm like, I'd rather fucking seen it called way too early than called
Way too late.
Yes. Why give somebody further damage? So not only did Cass do the warrior thing, he did a humane thing. And that guy should be thanking him if he's talking shit, because I saw Cass got a little upset last night.
I think what it is like a lot of feedback because especially if you
Everyone
want to
can
say
suck
the
it.
commentary, everyone can suck my fucking
I'm
whatever.
with you. The one we don't have. Second.
I got one in my nightstand. I'll put it on. They can suck it all day. I don't give a fuck.
you.
I don't give a shit.
That's gonna be
Anyway.
one of our other podcasts, CDW. Get ready for it. We're gonna get lit.
Bob's on top.
We have to get that LLC like or trademarked or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like immediately. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna buy the domain so that nobody takes it, because like you just said it really fast. Someone might be like, yo,
I'll fuck you up.
yeah, and I'm out. Because now I got a little bit of the bottom game.
So, but anyway, the thing is, if you're gonna sit there, you're gonna talk shit because the fighter said, "Oh, he called it because he was exhausted." No, he called because he was exhausted. He called it because
He did
he
it.
broke a guy's arm twice.
Probably in 2 different places,
And
maybe 3.
if the ref isn't gonna stop it,
The fighter should.
then he stepped up as a fighter to protect
Another
fighter,
You know,
and that's something that lacks a lot.
Oh yeah, you know who does that a lot? What's his name? Mark Hunt. You would knock out and walk off. So why does Bellator have something against that? And I, from a perspective of a press person as well, I think that they like to set people up,
Mhm.
and I like to think that they were gonna, decision-wise, they were gonna try to give it to that guy anyway.
Yeah.
Which would have been like apps. I would have been the first person to tell Cass, I'll fight that for you. I'll go right to the commission,
Yeah.
because that was 10-8, 10-8, and it was looking like it would have been another 10-8.
Yeah.
He would have won that unanimous.
Yeah.
And like by
a landslide.
and the thing is it was well. It
Rounded.
wasn't and
That was a
people go,
well-rounded
oh,
fight.
it was close. There was nothing close about that.
No.
There was nothing close to that. That guy like got saved at the end. Now just and in the end,
That guy should be thanked
Cass saved him.
for saving his goddamn career, because
Absolutely.
realistically, let's say if this is anybody else, they're getting you down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to capitalize on the fact that now you probably can't defend with that arm or throw it.
Yeah.
They're going to get you down, and they're going to go for it again.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Any good fighter is going to see blood and want to go after it.
Yeah.
Now, is that the humane thing to do? Absolutely not. I remember watching George St. Pierre versus Dan Hardy, and Dan Hardy's eye was it Carlos Condit? One of the two took so much fucking damage. I think it was Dan Hardy. I mean, over and over and over and over and over. And I was even at one, I can take a lot.
Yeah.
But to one point, I was like, oh, okay.
Like, that's enough.
Or when Francis Ngannou knocked out Alistair Overeem.
Oh
and
my
just
God.
like, how many punches did the ref need to see before he stopped the fight?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
he was out.
No,
You didn't
absolutely.
need to throw 3 or 4 more
Like,
punches.
heads should not be bouncing off the hand.
Not at all.
And I think what happens is, but at the same time, I do sympathize with the refs, because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. either way, they're the fucking assholes.
They
Not coming from me, and I don't really mean that.
No,
like, I don't think
no,
refs are
it's
assholes.
true.
I just think that they get
shit no matter
stuck
what.
in a position that
I guess shit either way.
a lot of the times, because now if that ref had called it when he saw it pop, the guy could have been like, yeah, pop it, pop back. Like, I've had it where my arm dislocates and I pop it back in and I can keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It depends. But that guy could have the first time like, oh, it popped back in. Okay.
They, either way, it was well within the ref's discretion to call the fight. I think he should have. I think he should have called it the first time.
And the doctors were going to call the fight if you really listen to the corner. The doctors would have called the fight on the other guy.
They're like.
So now, here's my thing. If the doctors were going to call the fight anyway, and Kaz is saying, I'm not fighting that guy because his
They should never have given the guy.
It shouldn't have been a win. I think it either should have been a no contest or
I would have
maybe
been
a draw.
no contest. Absolutely. I think
a no contest or at least a draw.
Yeah.
Or a draw.
That way either of them walk away with whatever. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you know what the thing was? I don't think Cass could hear that they were going to call a fight. So
no,
he didn't.
No, he didn't.
So in my personal opinion, from just watching it from an outsider's perspective, I know Cass. I've talked to him.
Yeah.
He played in my pool tournament. It was such a nice guy. I can't say anything that yeah, he really truly is. And just from that perspective and just stepping outside of the whole situation and looking at it, the rest should be ashamed of himself.
Absolutely.
Cass should be proud of himself. That fighter should be thanking Cass and calling him today and saying, you know what, you could have come out and destroyed my arm again.
Right.
He could not Cass. He could literally pull at anything at that point in his other arm. Think about that. Yeah. And that guy, from what I heard,
Alberto something.
Gonzalez. He had a similar leg break to Anderson Silva. They had said that after the fight.
Oh yeah. They said that. Actually, I knew that.
Cass had got after his leg next.
Yeah.
There could have been. I mean, and there are fighters that do that. That will literally find out that somebody had an injury, and if you want to win a fight.
A guy had a hold on my leg, and he let go, and he saved me my career.
And he said he still thanks him.
And he still thanks him
because leg locks and knee bars can absolutely end your career. Even like a bad shoulder. I had two terrible, but mine were from falling downstairs. Oddly enough, and they can be career enders. Now, I was also told that I couldn't ever do anything really again. I wouldn't be able to play pool again, which I was like, fuck that I needed to do. And then John was like, why do you think you can't train? And I'm like, well, they told me I can't. And he's like, I like to say a lot of things, and that's because of liability. Let's try. Yeah. And I mean, I lifted it for the first time. He had me lifting like super heavy the other day, and I was really nervous. But John's such a good coach. He was like, listen, I'm not going to let you hurt yourself. Like, trust me. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I you know what? I do. I trust him so much, like with everything. I leave my life savings in front of him and walk away, and I know he wouldn't touch it. So I would leave like my future child with him for like maybe 3 minutes. Yeah, I would trust him that much. I fucking love you, and I love that you bust his balls. And Ray was saying that I don't, so we need you here to bust his balls.
Does Ray listen?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Ray.
He said to well, I don't know if he listens to mine, but I know he listens to the Manimals. And he's like, Kerry. He goes, I like Kerry, but she doesn't bust your balls.
No one does. Oh my God, wait till next week. I'll write a fucking list, man. But the funny thing is, I love it. One, he's a good sport. Two, he comes right back at it.
Oh, he's the best.
Oh, he's so funny.
He is the best.
That fight, I'm going to tell you something right now. I want everybody to go
and watch it.
And watch that.
Twice. Watch it twice, because I did.
Twice.
I did. And
and here's the other thing. Plus, there was a point when when Kaz was going for the choke. I don't know if anybody else caught it. I don't know if I was seeing things, but I saw a little tap. Now I saw a little tap. And I'm just saying, and then all of a sudden, Kaz switched his grip in that moment after that tap, because I think he realized what was going on.
I know.
A lot of people fucking do that.
And people almost sometimes have like a panic tap. That's actually like you will see that like a flurry, but I think a flurry is still a tap.
Yeah.
If someone's hand is going like this, or like they're grabbing at someone, like, I'm sorry, as a referee, look at that. You should be doing your job. And that referee did not do his job at all, because for us to see that and him not, and and I've had people go
bad fight to warm up your referee ring with.
It's true. And like Dan Margliato will say, well, you don't see everything, but at the same time, that is your job. He said it's your job to see.
Then you want to know and get 2 refs in there.
And if you can't do your job properly, you should be reffing amateur MMA at best.
Yeah.
But something like that, athletic commissions need to hold referees accountable and say, okay, well, now you can't ref a pro fight for another, go ref a couple amateur fights,
How about go
build
take a
up your
ref course?
resume, come back, take another. Well, you're supposed to take it every year. You're supposed to take the ABC course, which was designed and made by Big John McCarthy for boxing, and you're supposed to take it yearly. Now, that depends what sanctioning body you're with, because there's a bunch of sanctioning bodies. People get mad because I talk shit about sanctioning bodies because I see that a lot of the corners and do a good job that they're supposed to do. So, you really want to know who your refs are, and I tell people if they get into say Bellator or whatever, and they get the list of referees, you're allowed to request a referee, and you're allowed to deny one and ask them, please don't give me that referee. They've done this, and give them a reason why.
Absolutely.
Okay, this referee doesn't like to let people go on the ground. He doesn't like to let them grapple and exchange for a position. There are refs that don't do that. They'll just stand you up right away, especially in, I think it's King of the Cage, and I can't remember his name, worst ref ever. So you have to know who's reffing your fight, and I would definitely say I would never want Dean. I would never want him reffing my fight. He clearly takes a payout under the table. Mario Yamasaki is another trash referee. Clearly Brian Minor, whatever from last night. I've seen him. I know he does like that was probably one of his bigger big time. I've seen him at a lot of amateur and like pro shows. And that's something we'll discuss another day off camera, because I have a lot of shit to talk about those people, and I know people get so mad at me.
I didn't experience it when my last fight, which was like 2 years ago now, because
and look at that. What sanctioning body was it? I can tell you right now, I know it was.
I don't know, was that the Capital?
I'd say probably ISKA.
Maybe.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't. One of those, there's 3 that are like
separate. I think it was.
Yeah.
But the ref, I had the girl, I had her, she was against the cage, she's turtled up. I'm on the side of her, and I'm literally hammer fisting her, literally back and forth and back. Anastasia
I was there for that.
Back and forth and back.
Anastasia Bruce. Yeah, I was there for that.
And I'm sitting there, and he goes, watch the back head. And I'm like, okay. And I'm, and I keep going. I'm sitting there, and like I finally pull her aside, and I'm like sitting there. I'm like 1, 2, and I'm counting. Like I think in one of my friends' videos you see me, I'm like 2, and I'm counting, and I'm looking, and I want to say even Matt and Ray were like, this has gone too far.
Yeah. How far did you let this go?
Should have called it, and it got to the point where I didn't even want to hit her anymore. So I managed to like just create space and do whatever and get her back, and I took her and I choked it. Look, she's a great competitor, but she should not have. It got to the point where I would have my hand up here and I'd be like, I can't. Like I felt bad.
No, you're
that I had to stop it. Like I couldn't. I had to stop it. I had to pull her away. I had to just do something, anything.
So one. Shout out if you're on here, Anastasia. She's a really sweet girl.
She is. She's so sweet.
Now, but I'm gonna say this as a impartial person and as a journalist, because I'm allowed to say my opinion.
Absolutely.
She should not be pro. You know what? Just continue on the amateur circuit. She'll make more money in ticket sales. She'll make more money. You can have a gajillion and 10 amateur fights and have a great time, but when you go pro, you're going to take unnecessary damage, and that's why Bellator wouldn't give her the fight.
And really?
Yeah, well, they denied her a fight.
Oh,
because she has so many losses in an amateur. They're like, well, why are we going to?
I don't think she's even won as a pro yet either. They just had about 3 or 4 pro fights.
And the thing is that you can say you can use more in your arsenal, and you can use elbows, you can use. And then again, you get to a promotion like PFL, and you can't, where you're only allowed to use shoulders. So different promotions do have different rules, but you are certain things.
I think in New York City, you're not allowed to use elbows.
In New York City,
I don't know.
You are.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It just depends on the promotion. You're allowed to dance 12 to 6. Which is kind of, I agree with 12 to 6 while the person is grounded.
Right.
If you're grounded counted and you do this, you could really hurt someone bad. But like, if it's a mistaken one, like, and you're in a clinch, it's just stupid for them to take points for that. It's such a weird, because you could go this way, overhand elbow. Yeah. So many different ways.
Up elbow.
Up elbow. You could fuck someone up going up like that.
Right up the nose.
Hard. I mean, chin, side of the face, like people don't realize elbows are hard, and especially if you throw your like body into it.
Oh yeah.
Well, and here I am, a girl that doesn't really, I'm not competitive anymore. I never got competitive with it, and I wish I could have, but it's part of that. And I know that I hit hard. I know I can. Right. But I also know how to hit hard because I've sparred for so long.
Right. I don't know if people think that like I don't know the reasoning behind that. She's a very sweet girl, and we actually had talked after our fight, and I said, you just got to go, do more jiu-jitsu tournaments, you got to do these things.
Yeah.
And I
Take
saw
Muay
she
Thai
even did.
fights.
She even did. She went and she did jujitsu
Yes, she
tournaments. But there's something not clicking. Look, I went on a 3-fight losing streak. What did I do? I took like 7 or 8 months off of fighting
And that's
to
what
like
I
get
think.
my shit together. And like finally, like I won my last 2, and I beat a girl who's undefeated from Virginia. My toughest fight, she was 4-0, and that was probably my toughest fight to date. And that girl hit like a goddamn truck. And guess what? I had to take a step back and like really think about it.
Mm-hmm. And you know, there is a big thing in taking a step back. Again, playing pool is not the same thing as fighting. And I've taken months off and weeks off and stuff like that to reassess my world, my game, why my head isn't right, why am I taking things so personally, why am I letting things get in my head? And I wasn't. I have that problem too. But that is a competitor thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, fuck this. I literally one time I'm playing this girl and like I'm letting her beat me. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? If we were like in a cage and as little as training as I have had over,
if she's trying to hurt you, you're gonna hurt her.
I would murk her. And I could see just in size and everything. And I'm like, why am I letting this girl beat me at a table if I could fucking burn a cage or on a street? So I started taking that and running with it.
Right.
And people started getting intimidated. A lot of people I would hear before I would play, they would see me on the roster and they would go, I don't want to play. It would be a competition of who doesn't want to play. And I'm like, why don't people want to play me? They're like, you're intimidating. I'm like, I am. But I guess going and in my head while I'm shooting at someone, this person be fucking shit. I would fucking, I'd wreck their life if they were in a cage on the street. Maybe that could be intimidating. Maybe I have a face on.
I have resting bitch face.
You have to.
Like just always.
You have to.
But like not where it counts. Like it's hysterical. If you pull up,
it just happens.
If you pull up the fight at the Capital, the one where I fought Carson, the fight that I just told you about. Oh my team, we had like 6 of us on that card. It was I joked around that card was like Sarah Longo versus the world. I think we went like 5-1.
I love it
as like a team.
I love it.
And everybody's got their mean mugs on, and then I'm sitting there and I'm smiling. My girlfriend's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you always smiling in these poster pictures?" I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I sent them that from like, I think I was out like with my friends that night, and I like just cut the thumbnail because I had my makeup done. Like, I don't know.
We need to get more photo shoots.
Yeah.
You have good pictures. You have really good photos.
You know who actually takes a lot of photos for me is one, my best friend Christina.
Okay.
2, my best friend Devin, because he knows my angles, and his girlfriend gets
angles
so fucking mad because she goes, his girlfriend would be like, Devin can take 18 pictures of me and I look like a slug. Lauren goes, hey Devin, take a picture of me, poses, he gets it, and it's like flawless. And then Kaz's girlfriend is actually a really great artist.
You know how you look well. You know how you look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kaz's girlfriend actually is a great photographer. Her name's Jade. She does a lot of custom art pieces. Yeah. Her Instagram handle is Slayed by Jade. And she does custom paintings. She actually, if you've ever looked up Greenwich MMA, they have all these paintings on the wall, like just random stuff, like the Albanian flag, because Kaz is Albanian and whatnot. And she did a lot of, if not all, the artwork.
That's
realistically,
amazing.
like her and Kaz, like really, like, but her custom pieces, like her artwork, is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like she's so talented. You have to.
His place is amazing. You look at all the walls, and it's like I wasn't sure who did that. I'm like, did he hire someone or did he did that? Because he's, I thought maybe it was him.
Yeah. No,
wow. Good for her. Good for her. She's very talented. Mm-hmm. Super talented.
They're like awesome people.
He's a really, really nice guy. I can't see him not being with a nice girl.
It's the nicest. And I saw Marav and Aljo today. So December is going to be big.
I am so excited.
They came in. I was at somewhere. Everything's under the fucking table. Anyway, I saw them. They look great. They look in good spirits, and everyone's looking like really good and sharp. So I'm really excited for them. I think that they're finally like.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I haven't trained with Aljo, but we trained with Marav over the summertime, and he is a beast. He's got one of the most amazing work ethics I've ever seen on a human
Thank God there's only one of him in the world, because I don't think that. Can you imagine Marav fighting another Marav?
No.
We'd be sitting here till next week.
He really is. He's
so kind.
He's such a nice guy.
Genuine.
Really. I mean, you guys train with some great people.
Oh, no.
Steamroller is the shit. I fucking love
I love him.
He is because now it's funny
He's like
because
woke up on like he's like woken up early to like drive from Huntington to meet me at law, to drive to Queens with me for sparring and corner me and like do all that stuff. And
that
then
is so awesome.
he'll meet me in like he's met me in the middle of the day so we can get some drilling and some workout in and like conditioning and stuff. Yeah, we used to like work out for like an hour and a half. Like he's so
good.
He's good. He's got real like you know,
I did real like.
I think it comes from like the army camaraderie too.
It also comes from he comes from a very good family.
Oh my gosh!
Now
those are stuff that
my stepbrother played baseball with him when they were kids, and my stepbrother so like our families know each other.
Yeah,
and he's just they're amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
They really are.
People. They really, really, really are. So I'm super excited to like continue to train with you guys and to get like because I never trained with women, so it's fun for me to have other girls. And even though I'm like 113, I'm similar in size to you in that respect. That we will have fun.
Yeah, we'll have a great time.
Anytime you need anybody to beat up, hit me up.
Or just train with.
Yeah, either way, if you need somebody to beat up, train
We're gonna have like 15 podcasts by the end of all our training sessions.
We are so. I mean, this isn't a huge mat, but we can come here and train anytime you need.
Yeah.
If you need someone to drill with and there's no chicks around, if you just want to chicks, hit me up. And you're out here a lot.
I am.
Which I didn't know that because I know that you live upstate, correct?
No, I live in Franklin Square.
No fucking way. I thought you lived upstate.
No, my parents did.
You work
my
upstate.
Parents actually.
Wait, you work up there, don't you? Or close to it?
No.
Wait,
I'm on the North Shore.
Where
I'm in Greenville.
No way.
I've always been in Greenville. I've been there 11 years.
I thought for some reason you were upstate.
No, my parents. I grew up in Limerick, and they sold their house in Limerick about almost 4 years ago, and then they bought 11 acres upstate, and then they excavated it, built a house. And I'm all like, I go up there. It's 2.5 hours away, so it's just a nice weekend getaway.
I love it.
First of all, my mom's the fucking most adorable thing in the world.
I can't see her not being.
Okay, my mom's literally 5'1", 100 pounds, and she like my dad had to buy. They do all their own like yard work.
I love it.
And my dad had to buy my mom like a mini leaf blower because the big one was too much, and she like rocked back and forth. So she's out there blowing leaves on the side of the road in her Michael Kors flats.
I love it.
Like my mom's originally from Brooklyn, and she'll be like, I'm just wearing sweatpants out, but it's like a matching set with her hair and makeup done, and then she picks up her Louis bag and like she's got like her Michael Kors flats. My mom is she's a pisser.
I love it.
And my dad's like all American, like.
I love that. And you know what? It's so cool. I wish, my parents are really cool. My mom was a hippie. She went to the first Woodstock and then called me when she was going to the second one. And I was like 13 or 14. And I was like, you bitch, you don't take me. I have a twin sister. I'm like, you don't take us.
You have a twin sister?
I do.
I never knew that. What's her name?
I do. Chrissy
Christine Kerry.
Yeah. She's like me, but honestly, I thought she was a little toned down version of me, and we're
probably not.
No, she's savage, man. She's like really. I was like, we got really close over the, like siblings. You have your ups and downs, and with me being bipolar, I was always like, all over the place and anywhere where I should have been, which was hanging out with my family and having really good structure. Now I do. I'm so close with all of my sisters, which I have one stepbrother. I have 2 stepsisters and a twin. I have a big family.
I do not.
Yeah, I have a very, very big family. But me and my twin are I could, but it's always a roll of the dice. I have a MTHFR deficiency.
How that?
It's when I had my gene site test to see what medications would work really well with my bipolar.
Yeah.
And it turns out I'm on the perfect ones, which is like home run, love it. And before I was going to leave the office, my psych was like, wait, you have a warning. And I'm like, what? And it was a big alert. And it said, I have an MTHFR deficiency, which is I don't process like the nutrients and anything. Vitamins don't stay. I can't absorb stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no folic acid or whatever, folate or whatever it is that's not active in my brain. Yeah, I don't absorb my medications. I don't absorb anything. That's why I'm so skinny, I think.
Right.
And that's why nothing was working. So they gave me an active form of folate, Deplin. It fucking changed everything. I could probably cut my medication out fully and just take that.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Science is weird and shit.
It is. But the thing is that like I found out that in that genetic defect is the bipolar, mood disorders. You cannot turn schizophrenic unless it's a drug-induced schizophrenic. So I do
like
have that
acid.
or cocaine, uppers, meth. I have it in that genetic defect, but it's not something that I have. They say you either get it when you're born or you don't.
Right.
So you're not in any danger. But I said, thank God I'm not doing drugs anymore. That can do it. It could do a psychosis.
Don't
that
do
cannot
drugs,
change.
kids.
Don't do drugs. I'm sober
Don't do
13 years. You're
3.
sober 3. Congratulations. You're awesome.
Congrats.
That's like literally, I respect people that are sober. Now I smoke pot, but that's the only thing that works for me and keeps me sane. So for me, thankfully,
Like a
instead of
CBD.
taking, I can't take Klonopin all day. I can't take, and they have me on it 3 times a day. I take it at night. I pass out on it. I half of when I pass out. I'm on the lowest dosage. This keeps me good. So it works, and you gotta find what works for you. There's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
And I can't be upset about the fact that like I don't have kids. I'm like aunt to like a gajillion and 10 kids out there.
Yeah.
All my friends' kids call me Aunt Kerry. I love it. I can do whatever I want. And if I want to adopt kids, like John and we were all talking about yesterday, that's something I'm considering in the next 5 years.
Even foster.
Yeah, in the next 5 years, I'm considering for sure. Because then I'll be done with like going out as much as I am. Although I'm still gonna want to go to fights. That's never gonna go away.
First of all, your kids are probably gonna be doing jujitsu with me. So
I know. Without a question, because like
we're just gonna breed the next cycle.
He said the other day. We'll talk about that next because her fight was fantastic. I was talking with Alicia and she's like, so you would adopt? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to call up an agency or like another country. Meanwhile, while we were on mushrooms, right? Microdosing. And I'm like, yeah, but just call them up and we'd be like, what's your best soccer team? I want your brightest and elite. Oh my God. I'm looking to start a Justice League.
Well, what were we talking about? I was talking about looking for a donor yesterday.
Yes.
Now we're like rambling off like list of fighters that would be my donors, and I'm like, oh no,
you gotta be careful because some of them are like,
and you already know that like a couple of them have that. Well, no, they all fucking have that, and I'm insane enough. I'm insane enough. I don't need an extra dose of crazy.
That's my problem.
In my child,
I'll get full of crazy to pull out of me.
Yeah, right.
We don't need any more crazy. So, segue to Chris Cyborg's performance last night. I've been waiting to see her someone for like ever. I interviewed her about 2 or 3 years ago. I would love to get her on. She's the nicest girl in the world. Nicest, sweetest, kindest, great interview, super smart. She is a super athlete. They were talking about it last night that she was a handball competitor, and that's how she started. She was getting carted out of games, and Rafael Cordero saw her one of her handball matches and said, you should do Muay Thai. And she was like, I'm not a fighter, and she used to get picked on. She was bullied. Yeah. So she said, my friends at home and people that I know at home and grew up with are probably laughing at me because they don't look at me as a fighter, and here I am. And I was like, wow, I got a lot of personal stuff out of her.
Yeah, she's I think like so. I used to feed alongside that whole thing with Cyborg and her doing roids. And
everybody, I
think everybody did.
I did. I made fun of her at one point, and
I watched that video documentary of her cutting weight, and you could see in this woman's face, and she's going, I'm not a cheater. I'll prove it to you.
Yeah.
I'm not a cheater. Yeah. I'll do it. And she's crying. Why? Because of her love for the sport and her love for what she does and who she is as a person.
Absolutely.
Like
she fucks up. Everybody fucks up once or twice,
I cried watching her cut weight.
Me
like
too.
I wanted her to stop.
Me too.
Like I wanted her to stop.
Like why put yourself through that just to prove to people that you're not a cheat? And look at what she's done. I mean, she lost once and went on a 13-year undefeated streak. If people think that she's going to lose again, if they ever do a super fight, Nunes is in trouble. It's not going to end the same way. So Cyborg's a whole different Cyborg right now.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
She's old school Cyborg. Yeah. And the fact that she was able to choke out. First off, so her and I were talking about it. I'm like, yo, you're an IBJJF gold medalist. You're a gold medalist in wrestling. She's got way more credentials than people give her credit for.
Yeah.
She's got gold medals in so many different things. She's like and she's a super athlete. So, I was like, when are you going to like display your ground game for people and like sub someone? She's like, well, when someone lets me. She's like, nobody will let me. Yeah. And well, she got to show it last night.
Yeah. And I got
236 second round.
I got to give the girls who get in there with her, like, you're not just getting in there with Chris Cyborg, you are getting in there with a legend. Like, this woman is a fucking legend.
Has destroyed everybody.
Paved the way. I don't care. Look, I'm sorry.
She
like,
destroyed everybody.
Rousey's great. Like, Rousey, look,
she
brought a lot. She brought attention because she was more marketable.
Yes, but Chris Cyborg,
Gina Carano,
well, she
all those
dethroned
people.
Gina Carano,
I know
which
she
is
did,
what
but those two females, I feel,
that's what changed
you know,
everything.
really paved the way.
Yeah, that
like
fight
back in the
changed
Strike
everything.
Force days,
Yeah.
I feel like had we not had that, like Strike Force was really the only place that you ever saw women fight.
That's what got me into
That's
fighting.
the only place
That's
you
what
ever
got
got
me
was
into
fucking
it.
Strike Force.
I was like, this is the shit. Girls can do
Yeah.
this.
And like,
And they're pretty.
I don't
I was
think
like,
that those girls that were in Strike Force and stuff like that, like I think Felice Herrig was in Strike Force at one point.
She was.
And Invicta.
Yes, she was. And Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey had their two
They had two fights there too.
Where Ronda broke her arm the second time? Or first time?
No, the second time was in the UFC.
Okay, I thought they had two fights in Strike Force.
Yeah, because I'll never forget. Misha Tate was talking shit apparently
and
about
Ronda had broken her arm in a button, like 2 places.
Right, and Misha had said like some things apparently about like Rousey's mom and her father.
And her father committed suicide.
And
so
her
that was,
father,
like,
yeah.
pretty,
So that's
low blow.
So then when I'll never forget because it was in the UFC because Misha got up and tried to shake her hand and Rousey was like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I don't think that's I think that's a vendetta that will forever be.
It's so funny.
But Misha's thriving right now, all on her own.
Alicia and I were talking about yesterday that the only women's super fight that everybody would pay to watch, no matter two, people would pay to watch Chris Cyborg and Gina Carano, part 2.
Okay.
And people would pay to watch to see, even though Ronda's won all 3 times, they would pay to see another one. Because their feud is so amazing that, like, and I do think Misha would win the last one. I absolutely do. I think she'd win the last one. I like super fights.
I think
and just for like the fight, not for like any accolades, just for the love of the sport, for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I feel like
it'll never happen.
No, yeah, like I feel like in that even like Misha started figuring things out, like a too little, too late kind of thing. Yeah. Like she did better in that second fight. She did better, but I feel like it was baby steps to like try and find the formula to it. And realistically, I think that both have proven what they have to prove, and they've paid their dues. They have. You know, they paid their dues.
But if they ever wanted to, I would pay to see it. I'd be so excited. Oh, I would be so excited just to see her get back, both of them. But Misha's doing great over at ONE FC.
Oh my God, I know.
She's doing. I'm so proud.
I think she just had her second child.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
beautiful
like, family.
We love that. You know what I mean?
I'd love to see them thriving. And I think Ronda's still doing the WWE. I think she made a return.
She did. Okay,
and then she's still, her and Travis have their farm and everything else.
I love that.
And I think everyone's thriving in different ways. I want to see another Rose Namajunas fight. I want to see her fight again. I love her.
She should. There's no reason for her to retire.
Right.
There's like even seeing Uriah Faber fight again. Although they shouldn't give him a fucking killer. They should just give him someone honest. I truly believe, to some extent, when you see like legend fights, I like that because they put 2 people that are on the same level.
Yeah.
They don't put them with killers, and they do that to Uriah Faber, and just put him with someone on his level that's like. And Diego Sanchez might even be a fucking perfect fight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you put like certain legends together, you get a lot more of that like old school technique.
Oh yeah, old man fights and shit.
Like you get a lot of like.
I love
because you have to keep in mind, like even. Like leg locks were always a thing,
so
but like heel hooks and shit weren't really like. I guess I didn't see them as much. They were a thing, but you didn't see them as much. Now, like how much the game has evolved in regards to striking, jiu-jitsu, all the different disciplines and stuff like that. Where if like you put if you put like more of the old school dudes together, like you're gonna see that old school grit. Like you're gonna see like. The founding father type of shit.
Oh, old jiu-jitsu, like, and you know, it's funny because I said to John when he got offered that fight, I forget the kid's name, and I was sitting here, we were on camera when he got offered it, and he's like, shows it to me, excuse me, and I immediately looked up the guy's record, I was like, oh, let me see what this guy's about. As a person that would love to be a manager one day, that's the first thing I'm going to see, and I just looked at him, I'm like, kid's not going to take it. And he's like, what? I'm like, he's not going to take it. You can strike. You're old school jujitsu. Yeah. 2nd degree black belt under Matt Sarah. I would never let my fighter go and fight you. He's young. He's won by submissions. All of this, I think he has one like decision or TKO or whatever, and the rest were by submissions. I'm like, he's gonna try to take you to the ground, and you're gonna fucking destroy him with
Yeah.
old school jujitsu, and his coach was really smart to tell him no.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
don't take it.
No, absolutely. And that's another thing that I really, really love about my team and where I'm at is they tell you how it is. Like, it's not a good fight, blah, blah,
I
blah,
agree.
blah. And there was last year, I think it was, I was just so desperate for a fight that like I hit a Warriors Cup to try and get like a Muay Thai fight. First of all, I had never fucking fought Muay Thai. I was just gonna figure this shit out.
Like, a fight is a fight.
Right. So I was just gonna try and figure this shit out. I fought kickboxing and stuff like that. I was like, okay.
I have the rules and
And I was gonna,
never want to do that again.
I was
So you can know
gonna
not
fight
to.
like A-class rolls with elbows, everything else, just because I have,
Why not?
like almost like 15 fights
You
in
can.
general, like whatever. So the first girl ended up backing out.
Over there if you ever want to fight her then.
Maybe.
Yep.
So the first girl like backed out, like something happened and she couldn't fight her. So then they offered me the belt at 118 with the current champ, who was like, she had like 15 like just Muay Thai fights. So she does Muay Thai. And I turned around and I said, no, I'm good. Why? Because I'm doing this shit for fun because I'm just looking to keep busy.
Well, do you
Number
want to
two-
fight, but do you want it that bad?
Right. Do I want to fight a girl who has 15
No.
fights in this one discipline?
That would be like
It's just the fight to me that it makes sense. I gotta cut weight to get lower for a fight that I'm not getting paid that much for. Number two, am I gonna fight the title holder who's been training for a title fight?
Absolutely.
Number three, this is the only thing she does is Muay Thai.
Absolutely.
That made no sense. And I said to Brad, and he's like, no, I think you're right. He's like, it's not, he's like, it really just genuinely doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And I was talking to John, and he was like joked around at like the other day with Alicia, and I was like, oh, Kerry wants to fight. And I'm like, in a perfect world, of course I would want to fight at 41 years old. But I know.
I mean, we got a gringo that doesn't. He's in his 50s.
Well, my thing is that exactly. And I said I would literally say, let's get me somebody that's around my age range. And there's a lot of girls and women that are starting to train that would take an amateur fight just to have one and put two people around the same age. And that way I'm not going in there with a killer. I'm not going in with somebody that's like had a gajillion of 10 fights. No one's had fights. Let's put two,
I think what they did with
something to be said
I
for
think
that.
what they
Winter
did-
Warrior would be a perfect thing.
like, I think even, like Ringo did a couple kickboxing fights.
I would do
And
that
I
in
think
New
for
York
like his first fight, I don't think he won his first fight.
Who
And I
cares?
think they put him with some kid that was like 20 something years
Yeah.
old. And I'm like, you gotta keep in mind, like this guy's like in his 50s. He's got
And
two
there's
kids. He had
plenty
his
of
own
people
business. He's
out
training.
there.
His kids wrestle like
Ken
24/7.
Sweeney would be a perfect first fight for him then, if you're in the same weight class. Because Ken Sweeney's old as well, he's not old as fuck.
Isn't
He's old for the sport.
What is he, like 190? Yeah, Ringo fights like 150.
Oh yeah, then you can't do that.
Like,
But
and Ken Sweeney's like,
but something to be said.
I've never met him, but like I've been on cards that he's supposed to be on, and he always backs out.
Does he really?
Like, show the
Well,
fuck
you know
up,
what
dude.
it is? He fights on certain cards.
Yeah, you
And I
don't
see
pick and
that-
choose. You're a fucking
You
fighter.
know what I
You
see
don't
that a
pick
lot?
and choose.
I see that a
Get
lot.
the fuck out of
Thank
here.
you.
No,
I'm glad
absolutely
you're
not.
bringing this up
Get the
because
fuck out
I
of
get
here.
upset when I see fighters only fight on a certain promotion.
Or
Unless you're
because you got pulled.
yes, and unless you're signed to them as a pro fighter, because as an amateur you can't be signed to an organization. When I hear there is one that's signing people, I'm like, first off, that's illegal. Second off, call it an entertainment.
Is it the one that we were talking about yesterday?
No, similar though. Similar. Although I know a lot of fighters, and I've said stuff about them, and it's also because I've worked with them very closely in the past. But I would call them more of an entertainment company than a fight card, to be honest with you, because they have it is entertainment, which is okay. There's something to be said for that. But I mean, there's going to be no amateur MMA in New York.
For
Like, no, and you know what I said the other day? Like,
I don't even think I
it's
can go
smart.
back to fighting
You can't.
amateur
You have to
because
go
I have
pro.
a pro card.
And if I was
I already have my pro card.
yeah, and if I
I'm
was
a pro.
like even like Fatima, right? We were talking about her. Shout out Fatima Klein. I've interviewed
I
her.
love her.
She's awesome.
Sweet.
I've interviewed her. She's amazing.
I've competed against her.
Actually watched her last
People might
amateur
get bored
fight.
of watching us go when we grab it because
Yeah.
it's just back and forth. And like
I watched her
eventually I'm
last
just
pro
like,
fight. Her last amateur fight at ACT.
she fought Chrissy Hahn,
Yeah.
right?
I watched it, and
Chrissy
I'm
Hahn's
very
good too.
friendly with Christy. They're very nice girls. Like Alicia fought Lindsay. Lindsay's a friend of mine, so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's everybody's nice, and I tell them, like, listen, I'm friends with everybody. Don't hate on me. It just is what it is, and there's so much of like it's so deep in New York that like how could I not be friendly with everybody, right?
Right.
So all right, you got like all these girls that could be continuing their amateur career. It's not going to happen in New York. So I say, you know, if I was their coaches, I would just, you know, put them balls to the wall and make them do some work and say, you know what, when you're ready to go pro, fuck it, we're just going to rock it that way, and make sure you get them with a promotion that's not going to fucking go out there and try to like get them marked. You know, go with a smaller one and just go that way, because there's no amateur MMA anymore. LFA
I feel like that's
LFA
why
has Pro-Am, and they've been on the East Coast, so that's a good card to go with.
But I think that's also like what Anastasia did too, because like you have to keep in mind she had
she went pro before the quarantine. Well before the
quarantine.
quarantine.
But that's what I'm saying. Like even before the quarantine, like that girl had 12 amateur fights
and lost everyone.
So how many times are you going to fight the same people in New York?
And that's the problem.
And like, but I'm going to be really honest. If it's not Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New Jersey, or New York for an amateur fight,
there is nothing.
I'm not fucking doing it.
What's the point?
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You paying me?
Well, I was just going to say,
you pay me to miss work and fly out.
There's no ticket sales. You're going to have to pay for everything to do it. There's no reason for it.
Right, exactly.
And that's why right now,
but I think that's why she
didn't fighting come back yet, because they have amateur, and they're usually up at Mohegan Sun. They have a contract too. There's a couple fight cards. I think it's.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I think you have Foxwoods has Lion Fight.
Doesn't CFFC too?
No,
they're in
PA.
Philly, right? Or
PA, and I think in New Jersey they were for a while.
Yeah.
I actually think New Jersey's going to come back sooner than later after like the, November, January, because of.
Yo, Jersey, I got my eyes fixed. Let me get a fight.
Shit together, Jersey. We want fights.
I got my eyes fixed. No excuses, man.
No excuses.
I felt bad for my opponent.
I want
that bullshit too, because they couldn't find her anyone after. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'll give you a list of girls that she can fuck.
But that's the other thing.
Like
where
we all know each
other girls.
We literally all know each other.
Thank you. And I love that. And I think that's awesome, because you can do that, and you guys can help each other out.
You know who another person I felt like shouldn't have gone pro is, and I'm gonna fucking probably get a death threat for this.
No, because I get shit all the time, and we will talk off camera about that.
Rebecca.
She had okay. We're gonna get into something that people are gonna give us shit for. One,
because I have about 10 more minutes, and then I gotta bounce.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm already looking at the time. You have literally.
I have 10 minutes.
Yes, and we can get into this. Yeah, we can get into this for 10 minutes. Okay, so as a human person, I kind of feel like when you do certain things for a living and you're open with it, and there are certain things that you don't get to do anymore. Right. Because there's certain things that aren't tested for in MMA, and things that are contractable that aren't tested for.
If I was her opponent, I would have requested.
I wouldn't have fought her.
Facts.
Ever. Nice or no, I've heard from some people she's nice. She hates me. She literally hates me. She's like wanted to fight me.
Why?
She wanted to fight me, and I was just like, I wouldn't fight you if you fucking paid me to, first off. Various reasons, because I said it out loud. I talked shit, and I was like, listen, I don't care what you think of me. This is my opinion as as a woman, 2, as a journalist, which I am entitled to my opinion, and 3, as somebody that would like to be in the professional realm of reffing, judging, whatever, as an official. You should not be allowed to fight as a pro. Once you do that, I'm sorry. Even as an amateur, I don't know anybody that put her, and I said that to one of my friends that's a promoter. He was going to put her on the card, and I said, I will lose all respect for you if you do that. And he's like, yeah, but it's I'm like, does it matter? You're putting people at risk. I will literally lose all respect for you. I'm like, please don't do that. And they didn't. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a bitch. And you didn't win your fight, so clearly, there's something to be said for that. And maybe, honestly, train, have fun. You shouldn't be fighting.
I just think that there's
not.
I don't think. I think I only heard of her fighting like maybe 3 or 4 times.
It's not right.
And I think like a couple was kickboxing, and I think like 1 or 2
MMA fights at best. I think Destiny Quinones beat her in MMA. It's not right.
It's just not right. Like,
and everybody knows.
Why would you want to put yourself
out there?
That self-respect.
That was the biggest 420%. It was the biggest talk about that card was that she's and they were calling her a porn star. And I'm sorry, I know porn stars. Not trying to be a dick, but definitely not one. And they were all like running with that. And as a promotion,
I wouldn't want to be tied to that.
No, what the fuck, Bellator? Like, Dan Kitchen? Like, what are you people doing? Like, that's just call me, because that's a bad move.
I don't do porn, Bellator.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't promote it. We're not into that. Like, listen, have some respect for yourself. I know there's dancers out there that train, and that's
Look,
different.
sex workers. Look, let me explain something. Sex workers, do your thing,
But don't
Be
become
safe.
a fighter.
but don't put others at risk.
Yes, and that's like, okay, so then
And
the other thing,
especially, it's not. You're not
you can't.
Jenna Jameson, who is in a professional environment,
when
and
she's getting
and
tested, and
she gets tested, and the
other
people
person
she's with
does.
are getting tested.
Yes.
No, that's not. Look, me.
Agreed.
I'm not a porn star. When I get my blood work done for any of my fights,
Mhm.
even if I'm in a relationship or not, I have them run everything
You know what?
on me. Why? Because I don't know if someone's cheating on me and this stuff.
When I
I need to be safe.
whenever I go to a doctor
I
for a
always have to
physical,
tell my shit.
I tell them
When I
everything.
can.
Just
Everything.
do a full panel. And the thing is, people don't realize that there are certain things that if you don't, that you have to request them. You have to ask for HIV, herpes, and everything else is like a
Because
panel.
they only make you get tested for Hep B, Hep C,
And HIV. And that's it.
But there's other things that.
So now I asked someone yesterday. I know people that are EMTs that fight, that are cops that fight, that have definitely been exposed to the viruses.
Yeah.
You can't be a cop and an EMT and not have been exposed to Hep C or Hep B. So because they haven't had the virus, that makes it okay for them to fight. I'm just assuming. Because if
Yeah,
you don't,
they
if
don't
you're
have
only
it.
exposed and you don't have it, you can't give somebody it.
Right, it's a
Okay.
fluid. Anything
Okay.
anything transferred from fluid.
Yeah.
Because
if
if I'm-
my what I'm
let's say,
thinking
like,
makes sense.
Let's say I'm fighting and I'm cut under my eye, and so is the other person, and
it's
she's on
lots of
top of
blood
me, she's
transfer.
bleeding,
Lots
and
of
her
blood
blood
transfer.
goes into my
Absolutely.
eye. Like,
That's
I'm
how you
dead.
get. That's
I'm
why
dead.
people have a misconception about hepatitis is that it's not technically an STD because you can get it just from a cup.
Right.
It shouldn't be considered an STD. It should be considered
A disease.
a virus, and that's it.
It's a
It's
disease.
and that's all it is. And it sucks. But yeah, there are a lot. I would bet my life savings that there are some fighters that have been exposed to it, but because they've never had the virus,
Right.
they can't say, well, you can't fight.
Right, exactly.
Because you're not giving anything to anybody.
Right.
You know, even if you have the antibodies, which is funny because with COVID right now, you're letting fighters that fight that have antibodies. So it makes, that makes sense. Boom. I just fucking figured that out and I'm not even a scientist.
There we go.
Son of a bitch.
God
Son
damn.
of a bitch. And you know what? With that, I know that I want to get you out of here a little earlier so that you don't run into any traffic or any problems. Lauren, where can everybody follow you? Because I'm going to end up putting, if you have logos or anything, I'm going to make you a section on it in the Girls Corner website.
Awesome. You can find me on Instagram at Loca, Loca, and then it's Law, so it's just LOCALAU. Everyone pronounces it wrong. Loca Lou,
Loca
La, and it's Loca Law.
Yep.
And
Like Lauren.
or you can follow my hair page at the Lauren B.
Oh, I'm going to follow you because I
you can follow my hair page.
I need fucking haircut from you.
So that's always fun.
Yeah.
But Local Law is my personal and my fighter page. It's my fight. It's my life. It's
Awesome.
personal. It's a little bit of everything. The Lauren B is just my hair, and I'm not engaging on Facebook. So
Yeah, Facebook sucks. And you know
I like to
what?
talk to my mom.
Yeah, Facebook is the worst. But we are
She doesn't
gonna
answer her
start
cell
doing-
phone, so she messages me.
We're going to start doing some conspiracies, some other fun things that I am on iTunes that you can't talk about it here, but you can talk about it on iTunes. So
So excited.
yeah, we're going to bring a lot of content to you guys for the next couple ever. And super stoked. You can follow me
Excited.
everywhere. Everybody knows Kerry Seller in the Girls Corner. Although my Instagram got jacked from me. Sons of bitches, 9,000 followers they took from me. I'll get it back. And I think that they are going to give it back to me in 30 days, which is November 2nd. Pretty funny. Very convenient that day. So yeah, I'm really excited, guys. We're going to bring
I'm
you
so
a lot of
excited.
shit, and we're going to start going to fights and covering them together.
So
Why
excited.
not? In the Girls Corner, we might as well have a girl crew.
We should. Yeah.
420%. Guys, have a wonderful Friday.
Love y'all.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Probably Monday, right?
No, I work on Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday. We'll see you Thursday in the
See you
Manimal
next
Zone.
week.
And Friday.
bitches.
That was awesome.
That was really fun. That was a fun one. I fucking hate Rebecca.
We did good. I fucking hate her with a burning passion.
Her blood ops tried to punch Jenny Nadell in the face.